I've just ranked 42 popular supplement brands, so some of those brands are not going to be very happy after watching this, so be prepared that your favourite supplement brand might be about to receive a roasting. But then again, we all like a laugh, and you might even find a few brands catching your eye that you've previously dismissed. So buckle up, because this may be a rough ride. I selected brands based mainly in terms of US sales. However, I've also included a few specialised entries, such as longevity supplements, sports supplements, and superfood blends. Plus, I also felt compelled to include a couple of lesser known cowboy brands that are ripping customers off as we speak. I've made the ranking criteria as simple as possible. There's only 4 tiers, and with each tier having very specific requirements that qualifies a brand for inclusion. A plus tier brands must use zero fillers, be accurately dosed, justifiably priced, offer proof of purity, and have solid evidence regarding the efficacy of its ingredients. And lastly, there should be no shortage of glowing reviews. In other words, anything in this tier is the best of the best and more than worthy of your hard-earned cash. A tier brands, on the other hand, are permitted to use fillers, but no excessive use is allowed, and I must consider these fillers safe. Also, pricing mustn't be silly, ingredients should have evidence of efficacy, plus favourable customer reviews should be the norm. In other words, all brands in this tier are an excellent, trustworthy option. B tier brands, however, are those that cause me to have issue with either the pricing, quality, dosing, fillers, or the formulations themselves, but no actual health related issues. Personally, I would only consider making a purchase from the B tier if I could not find the equivalent product from the tiers above, which is a highly unlikely scenario. Which brings us to the bottom C tier, and I've reserved that tier for brands that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. So there you have it, 4 easy to understand tiers that now just need filling. So here's all today's brands ready for random selection, and we're kicking things off with the people's favourite Now Foods, and they're going straight into the A tier with a massive range of high quality supplements, always slightly overdosed and always competitively priced. Then in stark contrast, we have Centrum, and they're heading straight into the C tier for their shocking use of what I classify as toxic fillers. In fact, I don't even think I've seen so many problematic fillers in a single supplement, which is quite an achievement. Although this is probably fairly typical for what I call synthetic supermarket brands, and I'm sure you probably know a few. Next, it's a B tier entry from the Costco brand Kirkland. Pricing may be super cheap, but in my opinion, the brand is let down by general overuse of fillers and occasional dosing issues. Let's grab Enzyme Medica next, and they're going straight into the A plus tier with their unmatched range of powerful filler-free enzyme products. Now these are unquestionably the best digestive and proteolytic enzymes on the market, which is why I take them daily. Next up, we have 2 super popular brands that are going straight into the A tier, and that's Doctor's Best and Life Extension. Both offer good value, quality supplements and reliable dosing. And tiny in comparison to those 2 giants is the niche brand Smidge, which I'm placing in the A plus tier with their equally tiny range of small batch, filler-free vitamins, minerals and probiotics. Another one for the C tier next, and that's a brand 1 a day from the pharmaceutical giant Bayer. Now there's more unwanted fillers than this rubbish than you can shake a stick at, so there's really no arguing about this placement. Paradise Herbs next, and they're going straight into the A plus tier with their impressive range of high quality filler-free supplements. Some great products, several of which I use myself, so definitely worth checking out this brand if your budget permits. It's the popular budget brand GNC up next, and it's a B tier placing for them. Generally too many fillers for my liking and occasional underdosing. Same goes for CVS, the pharmacy brand. Their products might be cheap, however there's far better alternatives out there. And here's 2 perfect examples from the iHerb brands California Gold Nutrition and Lake Avenue Nutrition, which are both going straight into the A tier with their range of mega value, lab tested supplements. Next, I'm going straight into the A plus tier as a firm favourite of mine, and that's the range of filler-free, lab-tested longevity supplements from the premium brand Do Not Age. Now if only the very best will suffice, then this brand is for you, and with their pricing offering excellent value, these products really are a no-brainer. I actually use many of them myself, and you can take advantage of exactly the same price that I'm privy to by using my exclusive 10% discount code, which will work for all products including subscriptions and special offers. Enjoy! Next up, I'm going straight into the A tier as the premium brand Thorne, with a supplement range that targets both health and sport. Its sports supplements have NSS certification, which may be important to you if you're a drug tested athlete. Now, although the quality is verified to be high, so is the price. Rather too high in my opinion. So unless the NSF certification is important to you, then you will find better value elsewhere in the top 2 tiers. It's the premium brand Pure Encapsulations up next, and it may surprise you to learn that I'm placing them in the B tier. However, I have 3 justifications for that. First, in my opinion, they're overpriced. Second, there was a rather concerning dosing issue that I reported on in my vitamin B12 lab test video. And lastly, I also question the logic behind some of the brand's formulations. Of course, you may disagree, and that's fine. This is simply my opinion based on my experiences. And next, we have 3 more entries for the B tier. This time from Nature's Way, Nature's Bounty, and Nature Made, with previous dosing irregularities being my primary justification here. Just look through my lab test videos for reference. Also, in the case of Nature Made, I've noticed the occasional use of fillers that I personally regard as problematic. And speaking of problematic fillers, if you haven't watched it yet, then you might want to check out my toxic fillers presentation from just last week, because you may be surprised to find out what nasties are lurking in some supplements. And since knowledge is power, best learn what to avoid. No such issues for the next brand though, and that's Superior Source. We're going straight into the A+ tier with a range of sublingual supplements. Bypassing the GI tract, these little micro tabs are impressive and great for travelling since the packs are so tiny. It's definitely worth checking out the range of vitamins and melatonin products if you're not yet familiar with the brand. Swanson up next with a well-deserved A-tier placing, and that's based mainly on excellent value for money and an impressive range of supplements. And it's a B-tier placing for the longevity supplement brand Renew by Science. I found the claims to be made regarding the absorption of their liposomal products to be both highly exaggerated and largely unproven. Plus, a recent lab test found their nicotinamide riboside product to be a little bit underdosed, which I find unacceptable from such an expensive brand. Next, we have 2 long-standing brands heading for the A tier, and those are Jarrow Formulas and Source Naturals. Both have wide product ranges, are priced a little higher than average I'd say, but quality is good, so always an acceptable option. I can't say the same for Deal Supplements however. I'm afraid buying from this brand is a total rip-off, and it's a C tier entry for these cowboys due to regular extreme underdosing. Now, although not on the same level, I'm afraid underdosing has also been an issue for Doublewood Supplements, which has landed them precariously on my B tier. And while we're on the subject of dosing irregularities, you may or may not be aware that several brands sold on Amazon actually contain 0 active ingredients, and that many more are severely underdosed. My advice is to avoid buying anything on Amazon that's not from one of the established, trustworthy brands. It's your health we're talking about here, so don't risk it buying dodgy brands. And if you have the time, you might like to check out my lab test video series where I expose the worst offenders. And for your information, 2 of the worst, Nature Bell and A Squared Nutrition, are very popular both on Amazon and from direct sales, so people are being ripped off by these scumbags every single day. So it's an obvious C tier placing for these 2 scammers. Next up, we have the popular brand Carlson. Now, they've previously had a few fish oil quality issues, however all that seems to be in the past now and fully resolved, so I'm provisionally adding them to the A tier. Next, and just scraping into the A tier, is the popular premium brand Solgar. Now, I do love this brand's light protected glass bottles, and the quality is generally high, which I would expect at this price point. However, I've noticed the very occasional use of what I classify as problematic fillers, and I've also encountered the odd underdosing issue, but nothing that warrants a B tier placing. Next, it's a well-deserved A+ entry from the sports brand NutraBio, with what I consider to be the purest, cleanest protein supplements on the market. They also have an excellent range of filler-free sports supplements that are definitely worth checking out. The same goes for the products from Dr. McCullough, and it's an A tier entry for the doc with its range of low filler supplements. A pricey brand this, but they do have some great niche products, a few of which I actually use myself. And it's a B tier entry next from the pricey brand Natural Chapter. A previously recorded dosing issue is one reason for this placement, overpricing is the other. And that's followed by a C tier entry for the multi-level marketing brand Herbalife. Too many questionable formulas and too many unnecessary fillers for my liking. The Canadian brand Natural Factors are up next, and it's an A tier placing for them with a range of high quality, fairly priced supplements. I actually lab tested their berberine recently, and the results were decent. Not the best, but decent enough. Next up, we have a C tier entry from yet another multi-level marketing brand, and that's Usana. A big range of products, but in my opinion excessive use of fillers, some I consider problematic, plus several questionable formulas. I also consider them to be overpriced, so not a brand you'll be finding in my shopping list. This next one may not be a supplement brand, but I couldn't resist adding it because Dr. Woods make the best liquid Castile soaps on the market with not a chemical in sight. In fact, I refuse to put any other cleansing product on my skin, and that's why they're going straight into the A+ tier. Really, nothing compares with this stuff, especially if you have sensitive skin. I actually use it as my body wash, face wash, hand wash, and shampoo. In fact, this stuff is so clean and safe, you could even brush your teeth with it. I don't, by the way. Two A-tier entries from Country Life and Solare next. Both are reliable brands with solid supplement lines and appear to make an effort to limit the use of fillers, which I'm always very happy to see. And only just slipping into the B tier is the popular budget brand Nutricost. Now admittedly they do have some great value products, however I've seen some minor dosing issues and they're not always the best when it comes to fillers. On a more positive note though, I actually do use their organic stevia powder, which I find to be the best value high quality stevia on the market. And it's an A-tier placing for America's #1 selling fish oil brand Nordic Naturals, with their high quality range of purified fish oils and vitamins. And jumping up to the A+ tier, we have Macrolife Naturals, with their unbeatable range of organic superfood blends. I actually use these powders on a daily basis, and in my opinion, they're vastly superior to the greedy influencer promoted AG1. The Macrolife powders are not cheap, but in my opinion the price is 100% justifiable, so I highly recommend that you check them out. With the rankings out of the way, I'd now like to offer you some advice that I've learned over 45 years of supplement use. It was back in 1980 at 20 years old when I swallowed my first ever vitamin pill, and that one small moment eventually led to a life dedicated to the extension of human health span, and that's why for me it's such an honour to have your attention. Although we naturally all have different budgets available, the reason why we spend money on supplements remains the same. We buy them to help maintain or improve our health. Therefore, the quality, safety and effectiveness of the products we choose is of paramount importance. That's why my advice is to always buy the very best supplements you can afford. And if budget limiting compromises have to be made, then first try paring down your supplement list to the bare minimum while keeping the quality of those remaining products to the absolute maximum. Thankfully, the reality is that even on an extremely tight budget, there's no need to ever drop below the A tier, especially when we have brands like California Gold and Lake Avenue Nutrition offering an excellent range of quality lab-tested supplements at super low prices. Maybe not filler free, but they do at least keep them fairly minimal. And of course we mustn't forget that without fillers, those same products would be considerably more expensive. And lastly, apologies if I didn't mention your current brand, but I can't cover them all, and more importantly, the brands we did cover are amongst the biggest sellers in the US. And don't forget, this tier list is just my opinion, so if you're a disgruntled brand that didn't like my review, then tough, because there's not a single thing you can do about it, other than perhaps improving your products. Many thanks for watching, and as always, take care, be healthy, and I'll see you again soon.